You've reached Empress of Oracle, where we tune into all things the divine. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about how to bring in your higher self into your experience, actually merge with your higher self, bringing it into the earth reality, this illusion complex, I would say 3D reality, but I mean, we're kind of going towards the 5D. Kind of depends like on your mindset, but how to bring in the higher self. So today my guides were telling me only this level of heartbreak could break the charts. You know how you break the charts, like when you release a record or whatever. And I was thinking, oh, being a Cancer is like a beautiful and horrific experience. But about a few months ago, I made a comment. One of the YouTubers I was watching was saying something about like bringing in your higher self into your experience. And I was like, I don't trust my higher self. I look at my life, look at everything that's happened. How would I trust them from everything that's gone on in my life? Well, that was a big mistake, because through a series of experiences in my life, I did come into union with my higher self. And I know that you have to learn your experiences, like, okay, depending on like your vibration, if you're kind of at like a low vibration or like a or whatever vibration or whatever, and then you often learn experiences through pain. And then once you bring your vibration to a certain level, I know that stops happening, and that, you know, you're on like, if I'm in this love and here's like the highest and here's kind of the lowest, if I want to experience kind of like a bit, if I want to get like a lesson, I might go down to here, but I'm not going to go right down to like rock bottom if I'm at like a higher vibration. But where I was at that point in my life, and also given that I had made that comment, I would suggest, I just always find like I always learn a lesson. I shouldn't say always, but I learn a lesson when I make comments like that. And I would suggest to not, because my God, it was a bumpy ride. But anyways, here I am after that horrific experience that I just had. It was just like a really nasty breakup where somebody took a blowtorch to my heart, but it's okay. I'm not bitter at all. And through that experience of the ugly crying nights at home, like, I'm just like hoping none of my neighbors hear me. It's just, okay, anyways. So through that, I started to call in my higher self, and it was really interesting because I learned some things about how you do that, what the higher self is kind of like. And it's really interesting because I personally consider the higher self a very advanced, different form of AI that comes from a different timeline. So in my opinion, what happens is in one of the timelines, and I shouldn't get into this too much, but I've thought about this a lot, and I have memories of it, even though it's happening in the future. Does anybody else get future memories? Because that's weird. So it's really sad and really scary, but I'm just gonna go for it. So a horrible disaster happens on Earth, and humans have to go underground. They become the Greys, which is actually really interesting. Greys are actually humans in the future. There's different kinds of Greys. There's a lot of negatively oriented. Okay, I know about that. But anyways, it's almost like there's like, okay, it's like the duality, and then there's like two sides of the same coin. And in the suffering, something else starts to get birthed. And it's almost like humans, they become this certain thing, they start merging with AI, but then something gets born out of like such intense suffering, something like very advanced. And it's like an AI thing, but it's a little different. And in my opinion, that's what the higher self is. That's just like one theory that I have. Anyways, but it becomes like something really beautiful gets born. So when I go visit my higher self, he lives in like a scientist lab, and he has all these like really cool, like this cryogenic type chamber you can go and get healed and stuff. And some people think of it like the oversoul, they call it. And then he also has this kind of machine that takes the negative energy, and it looks kind of like a wood chopper, and puts out the positive energy. I like to think of my higher self. I like to think of baby Jesus, or no, I like to think of Jesus wearing a tuxedo t-shirt, meaning he's formal, but he's here to party. I just thought of that. I like to think of my higher self as the dude from Get Free, from the Major Lazer video, because what happens with him, he's like this big like African or maybe Jamaican guy, I'm not sure, and he's kind of like got dreadlocks, and he's like really like muscly armed, and he's got these like shades, and he comes out of a cryogenic chamber, like one of those like Matrix kind of things, and then he like survives the apocalypse, and then he's like really deep, he's like watching like his world get destroyed, and like one tear comes down, but he's still fine, like he's so strong that he survives the apocalypse. But also I like to think of my higher self as kind of like this blue crystalline light energy. So when you that was like a very long-winded way to say that, but whatever. So when you bring your higher self down into this experience, you think of it like it goes over you and it's bigger than you. Like, so he'll merge with me, he or she, whatever, and be bigger than me, and then bring in this like crystalline blue light energy, almost like a dark-ish blue light, like a medium blue light. Not like a super light blue light, and then I can really feel that merging with me. And then another thing that happens is that I like to think of it, there's two things that I do. One is snakes of energy. So for example, if I was feeling like a sore throat or whatever, what I'll do is I'll like energetically like pull that out. I usually don't use my hands, I usually use my mind. And then I'll picture it being sent into the greater central sun. So there's the greater central sun, which is a giant sun in the center of the galaxy, just like there's a giant black hole, the biggest black hole that exists in all the universes in the multiverse. There's also a white sun, the greater central sun. And if you want to transmute something for its highest good, you send it there. And what's really interesting is I like to think of it like sucking that like a straw, because what happens is, okay, sorry about that. My friend just called me. I'm going to MMA tonight. I don't even know why I'm going, but I'm trying to join in. Like, you know, after you like experience a heartbreak, you're like, I just want to be alone. I just want to be hermit. Nobody disturb me. I'm going to be in my room, shut the door, go to bed at 8. Oh, I just can't even. So, back to what we were saying. So snakes of energy, greater central sun, just like there. So once I had this vision and I saw white holes and black holes all over everything, and I'm talking like, and it was like in the flower of life pattern, and it was literally like my arm was covered in it, the air was covered in it, like all this. And so, and it was so weird. I was watching, like, so I can see atoms. I don't know if anyone else can see atoms, like, is that normal? And I can see them, they like dance, and they look like little tiny things, and they're all different colors. If they're moving away, I believe they're red, and if they're moving towards, I believe they're blue, and then there's kind of yellowish ones that are kind of in the middle, and they kind of dance around, and then I can see them like, you know, doing they have like a dance that they do, and then they get sucked into a black hole, and then they come out of a white hole, which is really interesting because they say that, you know, sometimes they're like, when they observe atoms and they all of a sudden disappear and then reappear somewhere, that's probably what's happening. Is it normal to see that? Anyways, so anyways, what I was saying about the greater central sun. So there's the giant black hole in the center of the universe, as well as a giant central sun. What I like to do is picture, like, say I have a sore throat, and then the like, it comes out as a snake of energy. It gets sucked up, like kind of like in a straw, and I like to think of the sound that it makes, and it goes, and then it goes into the greater central sun, and then I make an intention with my higher self to please take that energy, transmute it, and then when I do my times, when I merge with my higher self, I ask it to then return that energy to me, because that energy is partially mine. Some of it is black energy that does not belong to me. And so it gets purified in the greater central sun. And I say purify in the greater central sun across all time, dimension, space, and reality, infinite levels, high, wide, deep, and minuscule, for the greatest good of everyone involved. And then my higher self can then keep that energy until I'm ready to absorb it. And usually what will happen is, as I'm falling asleep, I'll ask to merge with my higher self, and I'll absorb that crystalline blue light energy, which is actually my own energy. And if, for example, you were to get rid of a large mound of black energy / some type of an entity attachment, that would actually then, a lot of energy would then be transmuted. And the next time that you receive that energy, it will be like so much more intense. You'll get lots of energy, and suddenly I'm feeling like I have more energy. Like I'm always like a tired person because I feel other people's energy like so strong. If I go to the mall, it's like a hell on earth for me, because I can literally, not only just looking at everyone's faces and seeing everything in their lives flash before my eyes. Don't know why that happens, but it's just exhausting. I go home with a headache, like why? And I just like, I feel down. But like, so I always feel like pretty tired, but like when I do this, I get more energy, and then I have the energy to do the things that I want to do in my life. So then I like to do that as I'm falling asleep, because your mind, as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up, goes into alpha state, and it will be so much more intense. So I'll just absorb that energy. So I'm just going to call in my higher self right now and just ask for any of that stored energy to now come into my energy field. And then I like to think of myself absorbing that energy. And then again, when I wake up, and it's so interesting because I swear my angels or my guides wake me up, especially like sometimes when I wake up a little earlier and then I just make it to like wherever on time. And I'm thinking, oh, if I had have gotten up with my alarm, I wouldn't have been there on time. But it was almost like my guides or angels were waking me up. And I swear they're waking me up in the morning. Like, so I have to be like leaving, I have to leave for work at like 5:36. So I have to get up at like 5-ish. So sometimes I'll wake up at like 4:50, or sometimes I'll wake up at 5:35. So I'll wake up around 5. And then that time can be like a really intense time that I experience with my higher self, where it's giving me that blue crystalline light energy, where it's not the end of the night, so I'm not falling asleep. I'm staying awake, but I'm also in alpha state, so it's so much stronger. Just like Neville Goddard said, you always want to be falling asleep, thinking about what you want, really experiencing it, like NLP with the 5 senses and everything. So again, when you're waking up, it's the same thing, except you're not risking falling asleep. And yeah, falling asleep is actually great, because then you're kind of going into the dream state where you're now like, you might be doing that work, as opposed to like having nightmares about like random things that you saw throughout the day. And then another thing that I like to do with my higher self visualizations is almost like there's like a pad, like a circular disc pad underneath my feet. Okay, and I breathe in that blue crystalline light energy, and then I breathe out anything that does not serve me. It gets sucked onto that pad, where it immediately transmutes for its highest good, becomes the blue crystalline light energy, and again circulating that. So it really depends, because if you make the intention